How about for today, we go through GTA subreddit and see people tweaking and theorizing about the trailer and expectations from the game. Oh, we could do that. I mean, I'm ready to go down the rabbit hole. The rabbit hole of Rockstar rumors and speculation. I don't know if I have the strength, but you know what? Let's try it. Yeah, this was the leaked map of GTA or of Red Dead Redemption 2. So I believe this was 2016 is when this leaked. And as you can see, like looking at it, I remember back at the time, there was a lot of debates over whether this was real because parts of it look like it could be legitimate. And basically how this works is that they have different, as you can see, like quadrants set up, and then each of these are built into squares. And then each of these can be focused on. So I think what they called it in the development of Skyrim, in those documentaries they made, they called them strike teams, where basically they have a team of say 20, 30 game designers who work in strike teams, and they'll go to one of these squares and work on it for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month or whatever. And their job is to go into this square and build out the open world. They create encounters, they'll place, you know, all of the animal spawns, they will try to add those little bitty details, they'll make sure the pathways are good, and they might edit the terrain slightly so that when you're riding, it's the most picturesque it can be. And then they want things to tie together with other areas and quadrants. So they basically go through the world like that instead of just being like, okay, here's the big open world and we'll just kind of meander around and try to generate stuff and make it happen. So in this case, you know, this ended up being accurate. You see New Bordeaux. This was well before we knew any of these terms. There were some leaks and stuff, but as you can see, there's actual areas that ended up being legitimate, Blackwater and all those. So of course, this changed by the time the game eventually launched, but you know, it did end up happening. But this is how games happen. This is how it works, is that it comes through and it's a very iterative process. And they might decide that Dover Hill is worth scooching down a little bit because up here, it's not working too well, or maybe it's too hard to get to. Players aren't going there very often. And so they end up just tweaking stuff as they go through development. But this is how it happens. I mean, it's a very cool process. And so seeing these pictures of a potential map, it's interesting. As for what exactly it looks like, I mean, maybe if this is their version of like Miami, it's like, you know, the city itself and then the outer areas. And then these are supposed to be like the keys. And then this is a smaller area off to the side that you can fly to. Like I'd buy this. It's a very similar layout to like GTA 5 with the big city and then the rural areas outside. So I would say that this very well could be real. So I don't think that that's particularly outrageous. I wouldn't think so. They say in 2018, a map consisting of 3 islands, one reportedly Vice City, was leaked on 4chan, widely ignored and considered to be fake. It's again been brought to the spotlight after a leak on 4chan this week seemingly shows an updated map of one of the islands. The level of detail, as well as the fact that the map isn't made of existing satellite imagery, seemingly makes it very likely that this leak is authentic. This isn't the first major Rockstar map leak either. RDR2's map was leaked in 2016, also ignored at the time. It is funny how many of these leaks do come out that end up being real once the game comes out. And it's one of the most fun things, I think, for a lot of people to do after the game comes out, is to look back at some of those leaks and see, okay, what were they accurate? What was the game like back then when this was leaked, and why did we not believe it when it was real? You know, it can be really fun to dig through all of that. A huge amount of Starfield was leaked years ago on 4chan and people brushed it off. Yeah, I think it's part of it is the hype. Like, people get in their heads that the game has to be a certain way. And I mean, Starfield's the perfect example where like some of the leaks that came out did not paint it in the best light. So when the game came out, they were like, oh, those leaks were correct. We just didn't want to believe it, you know? But at the same time, I mean, I want to be clear, you know, we're skeptics here. And when you drop this, I don't blame people for not buying it right off the top. Like, if I see this in my inbox or something and somebody's like, yep, this is the upcoming map for GTA 6, and they send this years ago, I'd be like, okay, cool story, bro. Like, I have very little reason to believe that this is true, especially if it's coming from an anonymous source that can't verify it or prove it. It's just some guy says a thing. And that's no reason to believe anything. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means on that scale, or if you think of it like the teeter-totter or whatever you call it where you live, if the scales are perfectly balanced and you're in the middle, undecided, you're still in the middle. Like there's no evidence pointing towards it being true and leaning the scales that way, or being false, leaning the other way. In this case, it's just some guy says a thing and that's it. I think you could have drawn a better map in MS Paint. Probably. You guys know me in MS Paint. Oh, baby. So I wouldn't blame anybody for not believing this. It's very reasonable to me to not buy into this right off the bat. So, and with this, I mean, this I find a little bit more convincing because there's a lot of quantifiable information and clear information that seems unlikely. Like if you're going to do a faked image, it's really common to do something like this.
Vincent Mudra is
This is
now a
less
red
common.
flag.
Like when I see stuff like this, I find this to be a more, like they're going out on a limb. There's a lot more detail in here that could be easily proven wrong. Because for a lot of these leakers, even, and perhaps especially the guys that make stuff like this up, they are looking for long-term validation. So if they release like this, they want you to see this and see this post, and then in 5 years when they leak the next thing, still get credit and be like, oh, they got this thing right, so they're right on the next one. And so for the people leaking this stuff, a lot of the time it's the same kind of thing where they want the long-term credit for leaking it. But seeing this and seeing how like the island here, I think this is what they're referring to, this island evolves into this one, that does make sense. And I'd buy it, but we'll see. I mean, we're on track to find out pretty quickly. I just don't know about scale. Like, I don't know how big this is. If you put GTA 5's map side by side, I mean, GTA 5 is huge, so I don't think it necessarily needs to be bigger than that. But the thing with Grand Theft Auto is that Grand Theft Auto has, of course, cars, planes, helicopters, like freaking submarines. It has everything. And those all travel very, very quickly. Whereas Red Dead 2, you're riding on a horse or a train at the fastest. So you can have the map be a little smaller, but it'll still feel massive because the player can't move through it very quickly. Whereas in Grand Theft Auto, you can, excuse me, you can literally fly over the map in a jet. So you need the map to be big for it to feel big. Much different challenge.
Jera's Awesome TV donated 140 South African rands through Super Chat.
Oh yeah, thank you, my
Hope
friend.
you get well soon. I wanted to know your thoughts on Grand Theft Auto 6 not being in the most anticipated games, given that people have made entire YouTube careers baiting news for its announcement.
I don't know what their exact standards were. I agree. I think it's weird that it wasn't like clearly number one. I think the loophole that they fell into was that they technically had not announced the game. They had announced that they were going to announce the game, but the game itself was not announced. And I think to be on the most anticipated game list, you have to have been announced. Otherwise, it would be like GTA 6 and Bloodborne 2 and then, you know, like Fallout 5. Like it would be all these games that don't technically exist yet. And so you could just list any game that you hope eventually happens. So I think the requirement is that it has to have been officially announced. And GTA 6, even though everybody knows it's on its way and that it is about to be announced officially, it hasn't officially been announced. So I think that's how they get through it. I think the trailer drops Friday. It could. Does anyone know what day of the week they announced? I mean, let's do this. What day of the week did they announce Red Dead Redemption 2? Because a lot of these studios and developers like to announce things October 20th, 2016. It was close a Thursday. So they chose to announce it on a Thursday, presumably so on Friday they would get all of the coverage from media. So, I mean, honestly, announcing it, they said early December. They could do the 1st or they could wait till the 7th because the Game Awards is what, the 8th? Or is it the 7th? I don't think they wait past the 8th. I think it has to be out before that. But what date makes sense? Like the 1st, yeah, you put it out on the weekend. On Friday, it sits in the public sphere for Saturday, Sunday. But the thing with a lot of this is that you want Should we do MS Paint for this? Announced at the Game Awards? I can't imagine they announced it at the Game Awards. Like maybe they do, but if they announce it at the Game Awards, everybody at the Game Awards other than Rockstar should be livid with Jeff Keighley. I think for Jeff, that would be a huge blunder because every other announcement, everything else that's shown is instantaneously overshadowed. Like it would just be such a shame because there's going to be a lot of cool stuff shown off at the Game Awards, I think. And it would be so frustrating if all of these cool announcements don't get due credit because of that. Like it would just be lame. So I hope they don't announce it at the Game Awards. I hope they do their own thing. Just drop a trailer randomly. It'll get the same amount of attention, you know? With like a lot of this stuff, within marketing, there's like the term of organic marketing or like, I think the official term is organic marketing. I think earned marketing. Yeah, earned, paid, and owned. So like if you think of the phases of a marketing campaign for something like GTA 6, well, I guess the two we could compare it to would be like Immortals of Avium, which if you don't know Immortals at this point, Exhibit A. But Immortals of Avium. So they paid a lot of creators to make content on this game, to do coverage of it. They just went like this past week and paid Mr. Beast to do a video where he was announcing Immortals of Avium. It's coming to Game Pass and it's not a bad game. It's like a 7 out of 10 probably, but it just failed to capture a lot of attention from people. They just were not that interested. I mean, you can see the final preview, 78,000. Like people just weren't that into the game. They just weren't. So for them, this bubble of paid media was huge. The owned media was much smaller. So that would be things like their native website, their Twitter accounts, that type of thing. And then the earned media was almost non-existent. So if we like do the bubble where red is earned. So for Immortals of Avium, the black paid circle is huge. Owned is like a little bitty baby bubble. And earned is like minuscule, right? Because very few people wanted to cover the game because there wasn't that much attention on it. There just wasn't much reason to do it. It was like, well, if I make a video on this that I'm not being paid for, not many people are interested. So there's no point in me making that video. I'll make the video if you pay me to do it, which is what this big bubble is. But other than that, it's just not worth my time. And for GTA 6, it's almost the complete opposite. For GTA 6, the earned coverage is going to be like this, where they have a huge amount of coverage where people just want to talk about the game because it's GTA 6. So they don't need to pay. They don't need to do much of anything. They're good. Owned marketing for them, it's also very large because let's be real, it's Rockstar. So anytime they drop a trailer, anytime they post anything on Twitter, it's going to be massive and get a ton of attention. So for them, it's also a huge bubble. And for the paid amount, they probably don't need to do much of anything. Like they might pay Mr. Beast to do a video or something, but they really don't need to do much. Maybe like trailers streamed on TV, they tend to do that a lot. So maybe they do stuff like that. And sometimes there's crossovers between all of this, but I mean, really most of GTA 6's ability to really excel is because it has huge earned coverage potential. And that's great because they don't have to pay for this. It doesn't cost them anything to have earned coverage. And in the case of GTA 6, I mean, it's just going to be overwhelming the amount of attention. I mean, you're already seeing crazy amounts of focus and energy put into Grand Theft Auto 6, and it's not even announced yet. So when it is announced, it's going to be crazy. But for that, I mean, when you're looking at potential announcement dates, if we're looking at like December 1st, which is a Friday, right? Yeah, December 1st is this Friday. They release it. They probably get some YouTubers to make videos over the weekend, but honestly, a lot of companies, like bigger companies like IGN, they have the weekends off. So for them, it makes more sense to release it on, say, a Thursday or a Monday, and then let the whole week just be coverage on that game. So I would buy more that they announce it on like the 4th, frankly. That's my guess. That's my guess.
Mike donated $25. You're the only guy I trust when it comes to upcoming gaming news and reviews.
Thank you, my friend.
I can always count on you to keep me in check before getting too hyped for a game like Starfield. Keep up the amazing work, my dude.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. And yeah, you know, we try to remind people hype makes you stupid. And I think in some cases there are certain games and studios that have demonstrated it's worth trusting them and it's reasonable to trust them. But even then, sometimes you can get burned. I mean, a lot of people trusted CDPR because they made The Witcher 3 and then were totally burnt out and shocked when Cyberpunk was a disaster. But I think that was not like, if people thought Cyberpunk 2077 was going to be good, I don't think they were stupid. I don't think they were dumb or anything. I think they were lied to, which is a different thing. Like Starfield, if you thought Starfield was going to be game of the generation and was going to be this stunning technical masterpiece, that was hype making you stupid. Like there was literally no evidence of that. Everything that we knew about, everything that we saw suggested that. And so in that case, yeah, I think that was just hype kind of making people delusional. But in the case of Cyberpunk, you were just literally lied to. So I don't think that anybody was unreasonable for thinking that game was going to be great. But the same thing with like GTA 6. Honestly, if people want to get hyped over GTA 6, I get it. I would encourage you to keep a level head because it's still Take-Two and you never know. But I would totally understand if people want to get quote unquote hyped for GTA 6. It makes sense because everything Rockstar touches turns to gold. Let's be honest. Yeah, no, I said Rockstar, not Take-Two. Take-Two has a more spotty track record, but Rockstar is pretty consistent. Red Dead Online, not so much, but the single player games are great. But yeah, I mean, with all of this, it's going to be interesting. I would guess that probably Monday, December 4th is more likely than December 1st, because I think they want to capitalize on the full week of game coverage from like IGN, GameSpot, PC Gamer, all those big outlets. It's going to be covered by Bloomberg, by NBC, by Fox, like all of these channels and news organizations are going to cover the announcement of it because it's going to be massive, easy clicks. But most of those companies are shut down over the weekend. So it makes more sense to just announce it first thing Monday morning at like 6 a.m. and just let it be the dominating news story for the entire week. Did they actually tweet something about December the 6th? The last thing I saw, and I would love to be wrong about this if we actually know, because then I can schedule and plan. But last I heard, they had just said early December. That's all we heard. How do we know it's coming out next year? It's not necessarily next year. It's their next fiscal year is what they've said. So the next fiscal year is expected to generate an extra $2.5 billion worth of revenue. There's no way to account for that other than GTA 6. How many YouTubers have the GTA 6 trailer videos mostly ready to go? That's the thing. We just don't know when it's coming. Like, I don't know if I'll do a video on that. I don't know. Maybe. We'll probably do it for the live stream, but I mean, it's one of those things where like everybody will have watched it. So how interested are you in watching me watch a trailer you've already seen? Like, I don't know how interesting that is. Yeah, I'm buckled up. 2024 is going to be pure madness, I'll tell you what. So beyond that, there's some other leaks and stuff. If we just continue on the GTA 6 pathway. Tom Henderson, this was 2 years ago. This Tom Henderson guy is the same one that runs Insider Gaming or Insider Gaming. I had it right. Which you guys have probably seen. I mean, they've done tons of reporting. They have really good sources, tons of reporting like this one on potential information about a live service variation of Monolith's Wonder Woman, all sorts of stuff like that. But they've been very, very accurate. And 2 years ago, Tom posted this video describing some stuff that they had heard about GTA 6. And some core points of the video are the game is set in modern day, and the primary reason behind it is GTA Online. Rockstar wants to be able to have as much freedom as they can with GTA Online DLCs. Makes sense. They could go full Fortnite, dab on the haters, where they could have, a Breaking Bad set of skins, and then they could come in and they could have, the integration with Disney or whatever else they want to do. Like going modern day gives them a lot of flexibility, so I get that. map is Vice City and isn't going to be that big, but the map will be expanding, new locations being added and changing. Tom compares it with the changes to the Fortnite map that it goes through every season through the years with the help of DLCs. Interesting. I mean, how this applies to like the single player versus the online, I don't know if the single player map is expected to expand as well with story DLC, or if it's just single player, and then the DLC will be for the online. Who knows? 2 years ago, he said the game's still in very early stages of development, which is interesting because 2 years ago, that's not that long ago in the context of a big game like this. So that's very interesting. Well, this same thing, which has basically been confirmed at this point through those other leaks, multiple protagonists. One of them is female. The female one is going to be the bright one in the group and responsible for the technical stuff like hacking. Tom believes that the game will release 2024 to 2025, with the reasons being that Rockstar is heavily focused on employee well-being. Okay. Specifically Rockstar. People are like, well, Take-Two doesn't really do that. Like this is the least believable thing I've ever seen on this sub. We'll see if that's the case. I mean, Rockstar, if they tell Take-Two, we want to take our time and no crunch, they can do it. They're Rockstar. So, and I wouldn't say it's the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen on the sub, but yeah, I get the joke. Since the game will be... Hermione's losing it. Since the game will be current gen / PC only, Rockstar wants to wait for current gen consoles to have sold a lot of units so they can maximize sales. Makes sense. GTA 5 is still making money for them. Makes sense. And crypto will play a part in the game. I'm assuming crypto is what they meant. Right here is where he describes it.
About small details such as cryptocurrency. So one of those tweets said that yes, there is a plan to incorporate some kind of cryptocurrency into GTA Online as a virtual currency. Now don't get this mixed up, this does not mean that you're going to be able to have GTA coins on Binance, for example, and trade it for real world money, but it's just going to be another aspect of GTA in which you're going to be able to get mission rewards and stuff like that, and even possibly some storylines around cryptocurrency in some capacity. Of course, if this does end up being a modern GTA title, it's pretty hard to avoid cryptocurrency when you're talking large crimes. As well as this, I also hinted at some wingsuits and some other bits of information over on Twitter, so if you guys want to
I mean, I hope it's just like you do a mission where you're trying to rob somebody of crypto, or like you're robbing a crypto bro or something. But man, can you imagine?
Joe Mitchell is now a red flag.
Joe Mitchell, thank you. Can you imagine if they actually had it? So like you complete this quest, you get rewarded with 500 GTA coins that you can actually trade for real money. It would get so toxic so quickly. I can't even imagine. It would just be utter madness. Brandon, I just hope GTA 6 feels like Grand Theft Auto game, crazy radio stations and music, driving, shooting, ragdoll physics. Yeah, I mean, I imagine if Red Dead Redemption 2 is any indication of the level of quality, I think we're in for a treat.
Brandon Reyes donated $4.99.
Of course, right after I read it, it sounds off. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that's probably what it is. As for like GTA coin, yeah, red card. I don't know how that would work out. I mean, surely I think there's regulatory hurdles they have to get through. I don't know how that works if they're paying out, like if Rockstar is paying out coins, GTA coins as a reward, like there's a constant diluting of the value the more people play it and get paid out. So I can't imagine that GTA coin would actually be very valuable. Like every day that people play it more and more, it will be worth less and less and less. So I don't think it would actually work because, again, it's just basic economics. When the supply floods the market, everything else kind of falls apart and the prices plummet. So I don't think it would actually work to like make money, but I could see it being like maybe 2 years ago, a big selling point where these companies would try to sell it as like, there's a potential where you could play GTA 6 and make money through GTA coin and sell it. So your full-time job could just be being a great player in GTA 6, and that's your job. You don't even need to stream it. You're just really good at GTA 6 and that's your job. But it's like, again, the only way that works is if people are willing to pay that amount. Like money's not free. Somebody has to buy the coins you're selling. So who's buying the coins on that secondary marketplace? I can't imagine anybody is, if you can just get it through playing. And again, like, how is this any different for the player than just having like dollars inside GTA Online with shark cards and stuff? Like, I don't see how it's actually any different other than just pitching it differently. But this is why, like, saying crypto's involved in the game doesn't mean much of anything. There's not much to say. What does he say about GTA Online?
The reason for the modern title over, say, the 1980s title that was rumoured is because of one major thing, and that is GTA Online. GTA Online is, of course, Rockstar's biggest asset, generating billions of dollars since its release, and I've been told that the modern title is just to fit in with GTA Online and give the developers as much freedom as possible to release as many different DLCs as possible. I would imagine, just talking off the top of my head, that yes, a 1980s title might restrict the developers in some capacity when it comes to that GTA Online content. Now, as for the map itself, Vice City Remastered has been trending ever since these leaks started, and I have also been told that Vice City will be coming to the game in some capacity, but the map itself isn't as big as all of the leaks are making them out to be. Now, to be brutally honest with you guys, I'm not entirely sure what that could mean, but what I was told when it comes to the map and GTA Online is that essentially it's going to be an evolving map that could change every time a new DLC is released. Now, of course, we are very early in development, and I can't comment on stuff like how the DLCs are going to work and if there's going to be a battle pass and stuff like that, but what I was told is that there will be additions made to the map, including new areas and even expanding the map in some capacity. But
I mean, again, it just sounds like they're going Fortnite on it, which makes sense. I mean, Fortnite is probably the best in the industry at this, so I wouldn't say that that's unreasonable. And honestly, Fortnite, with their approach to pretty much cosmetic only microtransactions, I think they're probably one of the best pro-consumer variations of the Battle Pass formula out there. So I'll give them that. But let's be honest, they're still going to sell shark cards. They're still going to do all of that, which is gameplay affecting. So I would not expect that to be that wild. But yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. There's a lot of debate. There's a lot of questions as to how this plays out. But I mean, we're in for a treat. This next couple of years is going to be madness. It's going to be sheer madness. I just need everybody to buckle in, because seriously, if you thought that like Starfield hype was bad, just wait. Just wait. Do you think it's console first then PC? Yeah, personally, I think it comes out on PS5 and Xbox. Maybe not even Series S. We'll see. I don't know. But Phil Spencer already made the exception for Baldur's Gate 3, allowing it to come to Xbox on just the Series X and then the Series S later. So if he was willing to do that for Baldur's Gate 3, he will make that exception for Rockstar and GTA 6. There's no way he lets PlayStation have that to themselves. So if they want to have it just on the Series X, they can do it, but we'll see how scalable the game is. But yeah, it probably comes a year or two later on PC, which I think is probably good, because right now, like the PC side of GTA Online is so freaking broken and buggy and modded and filled with hackers. It's just horrible. Like, it's really, really bad. He took my thing.